Cup 2026 gets real today. The Trinity Rodman contract saga escalated this week, and why are clubs leaving the NPSL? That and more on Friday's edition of Morning Kickaround. Hello, welcome to the show. You found your way to Morning Kickaround, where we dot the map of the American soccer landscape. My name is Robert Kerr, soccer guy, and in the place of radio soccer guy Jason Davis is good friend, kit collector, and a fan of many teams. Mr. Ski, good morning. This is the part where you say hello.
Good morning, sir. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me in again.
Yep. Jason Davis in the field for the FIFA World Cup there in Washington at the Kennedy Center. So be interesting to get his next week. But it is the Robert and Luke show today. And welcome on in, MK Ultras, getting in here now. Good morning to all. Thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to all of our MK Ultras getting in the mix there. And our brand new Ultra from earlier in the week, John Stark. Salute to you. Good morning. And here's Chris checking in. Here's from North Carolina checking in as well. Oh, Luke, look, familiar name. And yes, we are we going to see Jason today? Probably not see Jason. Oh, with a tie. Yeah, interesting. That would be a first. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Interesting. Good question, but good show on the way. We are going to talk about the world. We're going to talk about Trinity Rodman's contract saga. Open Cup has some alterations for next year. It's an exciting new kit release in the USL biosphere. So that'll be interesting. Great show on the way. If you're along now, hit subscribe. And if you want to step up your notch of your support, do so and become an MK Ultra. Just a couple bucks a month. It's you priority access to commenting on these live shows, access to the Discord server, early access to videos, and bonus content. Mr. Luke, I see you got a themed kit on. What's the story behind that?
I don't want any turf warfare here today, okay? I don't want to start anything. I don't want any drama or any hassle. I was brought up as a Rangers fan, and I'm a beloved Columbus Crew disciple, as you know, Rob, and maybe a couple of other guys in the MK sphere know. Just to show there's no hard feelings, Coach Wilfred Nancy left Columbus Crew for pastures greener. Went to Celtic in Scotland, and I'm wearing. Oh, lost my mic. I'm wearing a Celtic shirt just to show that we still love you. Appreciate it. Don't, as they say, what is the saying? Don't cry because it's over. Laugh because it happened. He was a great manager, great coach, great leader of men, great tactician, and we wish him all the best in Scotland.
Of course. And that videos on the channel. We got a lot of great stuff. Check out the Morning Kickaround YouTube channel. We got the feature on the Columbus coach over Celtic, an Inter Miami deep dive with Franco Panizo. And we're going to talk about MLS Cup final, World Cup draw, WSL contracts, NPSL stuff. So lots of stuff on the way. So let's get to it. Let's kick long balls here on Friday's edition of Morning Kickaround. Welcome on in. Big news this week. The U.S. Open Cup announced big changes to the format ahead of the 2026 season. Amongst the headlines is one less round, 7 rounds instead of 8, and 16 teams, 80 teams instead of the 96 in 2025. For context, the U.S. Open Cup is the FA Cup style competition where seemingly all teams should be eligible for it, and it narrows down to one eventual champion, Nashville SC, the 25 champion. But big changes in the Morning Kickaround Discord server that members have access to. There was, I would say, not the most positive reaction to this. But Luke, what's your take? What's your take on the ratification of the 2026 edition of the U.S. Open Cup?
All right. Well, this is a bit of a soapbox topic for me because being European, it is tremendously important for the fabric of the sport in most European countries to have a true free-for-all, open in concept and open in name knockout tournament for every domestic league. Every country in Europe, I think, has
I should add.
Oh, well, there we go. 111, 111. Yeah, it's an important thing in my country, in most European countries. You got to have a knockout tournament, and the fact that the U.S. Federation devalued this tournament in the United States when we're trying to figure out ways to build soccer culture and soccer history in this country, and the way that they just sort of devalued the entire tournament a couple of years ago, it was sad. It was sad, and now they're trying to make an effort to kind of bring it back into the fold again. I don't know what the motivation is, but they're trying to make an effort to bring it back to some degree. They were cognizant enough to adjust it around the World Cup, which is nice. They didn't try to shoehorn it around the World Cup, but just kind of go, we're not going to do it this year. We're going to change it so that it makes sense around the World Cup. I think it's nice. I think the U.S. Open Cup is tremendously important for football in this country. I got some concerns about some of the rules around the edges a little bit. But I like what they're trying to do, and I like that it's back.
Yeah, it is the smallest edition cup, I believe, or at least the smallest in recent history. Some more details on it. The reason these changes is because there's a big break in the calendar for the club side due to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Then people nervous that this might be a continued shrinking of the competition. For context, though, one thing that I guess is positive is all MLS teams entering the third round, the round of 32, which is the same as 2025. One of the big changes, though, the USL Championship is trimming its field to just 17 teams. Their league standings to select these teams, all of which will enter into the first round. So kind of hard to get your around it a little bit, and you'd think that it goes a little bit against the nature of what an Open Cup would be, with it being a narrower field. I guess there's external circumstances with there being the World Cup smack in the middle of it, but you definitely don't want this to be some sort of a sign of the times that the competition is going to keep reducing in size, because Open Cup, like you to your point, it means a lot to folks across the pond that know about the FA Cup and what these competitions mean. But here in Detroit, those in like the mainstream American sports bubble, they don't really even recognize or understand the USL system is. But the games in the Open Cup, like when DCFC played against the Columbus Crew, and likewise, that got the attention. That was probably, sorry to bring, not a good memory for Columbus.
Every time we talk about the U.S. Open Cup, you got to bring that up, man. Come on, let it go.
Well, it's the local context, and it speaks volumes that the talking heavily on like the sports talk stations, and even people that aren't even sports people, they're like, oh yeah, didn't Detroit play someone in a higher league? And the concept of teams playing in between leagues, I think, captures the imagination a little bit more, and it's stood out. And I mean, it's stuck in people's memory out that, and a team punching above its weight. The underdog story is one of the big reasons why we like it. And then playing across division leagues, exciting, because one of my favorite games of the 2025 calendar was the two Chattanooga teams, Chattanooga FC and the Red Wolves, each other, was really exciting for a multitude of reasons. And it was a rare competition between teams from different leagues, but so a mixed bag for some of those fans of the competition. Obviously, having less teams in there, good thing. Still having the competition, you never know. It's like a year. They didn't just scrub it away or anything like that. But to look into the comments, there's a little bit of mixed results. Pablo wasn't aware of USL pulling teams, and I'll actually pull up. I have demonstration here.
Potentially.
US
That's potentially on the docket for the future.
Yeah, on screen, it's the
Rob,
MLS teams on the left.
To your point, Rob, it's a condensed field, but it is a reversion to this true open concept whereby there are more pathways to qualifying for the US Open Cup than there were last year. So yes, although it's a condensed, it's a condensed field to, in one sense, to a degree, it is a wide open opportunity for so many clubs across the country to actually qualify for a slightly smaller US Open Cup. And also, it's a one club, one entry system whereby every team that are in the tournament are obliged to field their highest level team. So, for example, we're not going to see Philadelphia Union 2 or quote unquote Philadelphia Union 3. They've got some sort of academy team that they sort of loosely refer to as Union 3, I think. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have, Minnesota United 2. We're going to have, Minnesota United. And what teams choose to do with that iteration of their team in the U.S. Open Cup is up to them. It's open to interpretation. If they want to field a bunch of backups, the third string keeper, a bunch of the bench fellas, whatever, they're allowed to do that. But in theory, we should be seeing the Chicago Fire, the New York City FC, the Columbus Crew, the Sporting Kansas City, actual clubs, especially in the latter rounds of the tournament. It's open to interpretation, again, what these guys actually choose to recognize this US Open Cup as. But I'm just excited that it's back, because there was an argument to suggest that maybe the US Open Cup takes a dive this year because of the World Cup, because of the, there's going to be a lot of football this summer, and God bless that. But I'm just glad it's here.
Yeah, the format of it, the US Open Cup, I feel like it might be year to year changing its format. In 2026, it's still going to be a spring start in the fall, but also 2027 and beyond. I mean, who knows what happens when the MLS calendar changes the MLS calendar changes. We've seen Open Cup change their format before to accommodate MLS. Curious this happens when the calendar shift happens, if anything at all. And also notable about this is the winner gets a bid to the CAF Champions Cup. So some incentive and $1 million purse as well, which is interesting. So incentives for that, but
nice.
big takeaway: a reduced U.S. Open Cup for 2026. Moving along to NWSL news, Trinity Rodman, our biggest star in the league, had her contract rejected by the league office, which led to the NWSL Players Association filing a grievance saying that the league violated terms of the collective bargaining agreement when it vetoed the Washington Spirit's record-setting contract offer.
I don't know. This is the part of sports that gives me a flipping migraine every time the courts get involved. Because I'll tell you exactly what is going to happen. There's going to be a protracted legal battle now between, the courts, these wealthy people and these other wealthy people, about the letter of the law, as in the letter of the collective bargaining agreement, the letter of the rule versus the spirit of the rule. And it's all going to get protracted and itty-bitty and really expensive. And it's going to detract all of this attention away from the fact that Trinity Rodman gets paid. Trinity Rodman deserves to get paid. Free market capitalism, supply and demand. This girl is really good at soccer, and she deserves to maximize her earning potential some way, somewhere, somehow, in whatever way she deems fit. And it's sad that, a judge and a few attorneys, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe have got to detract attention from what is quite an eyebrow-raising concept for women's sports in general, not just football.
NWSL stating their rejection of this Rodman's campus circumventing the salary cap, but the Players Association argue back that the negotiated deal is under the terms of the CBA and within the projected team salary cap for future years. So it's interesting. I have a counterpoint here. Major League Soccer obviously and famously will bend, adjust, or change the rules straight up to accommodate a star player to stay in their league. I guess domestic fans and Western Spirit fans want Trinity Rodman to stay. You'd think the league would want their biggest star to stay within the league, but do you think Matt perhaps are really trying to not set a precedent of making it up as they go along?
You cut out just a wee bit, Rob, with that last question, but I want to get the chat involved in all of this because I don't know. I think they're gonna have, conceptually at least, I think they're gonna have our backs on this. First of all, imagine if there were other sports in the United States that have played it fast and loose with language and terminology in collective bargaining agreements, working around salary caps and whatnot. Anybody who watches any other sport than beautiful soccer will understand this, right? NFL, salary dumps, dead cap money, blah, blah, blah. Deferred money, Bobby Bonilla, all this stuff. People have been getting creative with contract language for years and years and years. What is the difference? What is the difference here versus what's taking place? As long as it is within the letter of the rules, which I'm pretty darn sure it is, it's all just flim flam. And let's focus on the concept. Trinity Rodman deserves to maximize her earning potential and market her services to the highest bidder. And as long as no laws have been broken and no collective bargaining rules have been broken, guys in the chat, Rob, Jenny, love to get your take on this. Is that not more important?
What's more important, keeping the player in the league?
Being able to have Trinity Rodman in a situation and a position where she is earning what she deserves to earn based on her talent, based on her skill level, based on her gravitas within the American sport.
Yeah, I definitely think that she should take every opportunity that she has to make the money, because his deal that they're trying to work through would be the largest, but her contract that is expiring here shortly was a $1 million contract over 4 years, something like that. I'm getting my quotes mixed up, but she was making just a low six figures essentially when it broke down to if you accommodated for tax and whatnot. And you think in the large scale of time, long is the earning potential window for a soccer player? It's very short, so you want players to be able to stat out. And it seems like she's trying to stay in the league if they're fighting for this contract to stay in it. But as we see with Alyssa Thompson and many other big stars and women's national team members, they've gone overseas. Alyssa Thompson, from California to London, joining Chelsea. But you'd think that NWSL would want to be making moves these players. But as of now, they're at loggerheads, and there's a 14-day period in which the league can respond to the Players Association grievance. So we'll see how this all plays. Trinity Rodman and the Washington Spirit in a bit of a tussle with the NWSL to get a contract in place to keep one of the superstars of the women's game in the United States in the NWSL.
Of course. Yeah. And they're allowed to do that. They're absolutely allowed to keep the best talent in this country. You know what, though? There's going to be a talent exodus. There's going to be a talent migration to wherever the money is. So let's use some examples, some real-life examples. If an American male soccer player exceeds in MLS, where are they going? They're going to Europe. If an American female soccer player exceeds, then they're going to look at Europe, where the money is, where the glitz and the glamour is, where the evolution of the sport is maybe half a notch ahead in some ways of where the United States game is. And that's where they're going to look at going, because they can make more money and be more, have more exposure. It works the other way around, guys. It works the other way around. If the NBA hears about a European player that exceeds, that European player is going to come here. That's the way that it works. You go where the money is. You go where the exposure is. You go where the glitz and the glamour and the fame is. This is just that. It's all this is. There's no nefarious, intentions here at all. Let the lady play. Let the lady earn.
In lieu of a full schedule of games, we typically do Fab for here on Friday. But there's really just two big events we're going to look at here for the next few moments. The World Cup draw, just a few hours away. The World Cup 2026 gets real here afternoon in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center as the groups will get drawn. But I want to take a quick look odds. What do the bookmakers say ahead of this draw? So the numbers are a little bit small, but top three favorites in 2026, the usual suspects: Spain, England, and France.
You forgot Wales, Rob. Can you redo the graphic really quick, please? Wales is not on here, and I'm very upset about that.
I was going to say, I don't it fit on there. The USA, I was able to squeak in there at a 80-1 or a plus 8,000. So who's that? How confident are you feeling about an 80-1? Are you putting money on an 80-1 long shot for United States to get the win? But it's the usual suspects, like I said: Spain, England, France, Brazil, Argentina, Portugal, Germany, Netherlands, the favorites in the group. But I put a post on the YouTube. I put a post on the YouTube community page. You can check that out, obviously, on YouTube. On YouTube, now, best and worst case scenarios for the draw. And I got a couple of responses here, and I do chat. What are your ideal and nightmare scenarios for this draw that's happening in just a few hours? Side note, I am jealous of Jason for being on the scene. He's going to get to see Andrea Bocelli and the Village People in person in one day, and that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Amazing. Village People live and in the flesh.
Yeah, and if anyone knows how many original members there are left, I'm curious if any are still rocking. But going to the chats, you can find this post on the Morning Kickaround community page. But as far as best case scenarios, Aaron put his best case scenario: Australia, Uzbekistan, and Cape Verde, which I can't argue with that. I feel like maybe would the one odds for USA improve if that's the group they get?
Bit, but then they're going to be, coming up against the big hitters in the quarterfinals and the semifinals and what have you. So a bit, but not really. Anybody who doesn't sports wager or sports gamble or what have you, if these numbers, with all due respect, if this is not your world, just really quick, if the number is big, if it's like plus 5,000, it's really so academic exactly what the number is. After you get past a certain point, it's like, okay, look, the bookies are telling you it ain't going to happen. So plus 5,000, plus 10,000, plus 20,000, that's all much of a muchness at this point. The lower the number, the higher the odds of winning. So, for example, I think you had, let's say, England at plus 600, was it? That's not that England are the favorites, but England have a really, really good chance of winning this World Cup. Spain were plus 450, same. Anything after like plus 2,000, the bookies are just politely telling you, yeah, you know what, it's not going to happen. So if the US do pull out this group right here that Aaron has pulled out, Australia, Uzbekistan, and Cabo Verde or Cape Verde, that is the best case scenario for the United States. Are they going to get out of that group? Yeah, probably they are. Yeah, what happens next? Again, it makes qualifying out of the group a little bit academic, but it would be nice if the US were able to at least get out of the group in this World Cup. I think it would be amazing. As for worst case scenarios, it's in my opinion, my humble opinion, means nothing, neither should it. But in my opinion, anything other than that group, Australia, my wife, Uzbekistan, and Cape Verde, would be really, really, really tough.
You got the wrong Stan country for the Borat impression, Luke. He was from Kazakhstan, I believe.
I know. I was hoping nobody noticed. I'd hope nobody noticed.
Other replies to the poll on the channel. Lee Scott says Morocco, Norway, New Zealand. Best case scenario, Sluggo says Croatia, Norway, and then Lee also adds that none of the host nations are actually pot one teams, which a hot take but hard to argue against. And then Aaron also answered for best case scenario, or worst case scenario, excuse me, would be Croatia, Egypt, and Italy, or Morocco, Norway, Italy. So yeah, Italy really would that playoff that probably nobody wants to see pulled in the World Cup draw this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I gotta address it. Sorry guys. I'm not sure what's happening. The microphone issues. So if I'm on a little bit of delay or glitching out, my apologies. Geez, there kids in the house. That's usually what slows down the internet here. But hopefully on the playback, it's not as glitchy. But so I'm going to pull this off screen.
Under normal circumstances, Rob, I would kindly offer the show on your behalf. But maybe we don't do that for right now. But just in case, my wife is in the other room somewhere in the house. We can invite her on to co-host with me, the main host, for the last half hour of the show. We're not going to do that today, though, because she's a Spurs fan. So that can't happen. Not on my watch.
We have a few minutes, so we should spend a little bit of time thinking about a game on Saturday. Of course, MLS Cup Final, Vancouver at Inter Miami. I would recommend checking out Wednesday's interview with Franco Panizo from Miami Total Football. Great insights there. And this morning I wrote together, I listened to his show from last night, and Allende, the leading playoff scorer for Inter Miami, not in training, not even on the side on Thursday. And he was very suspicious of the reason Javier Mascherano gave for his absence, saying that Allende woke up with a fever, and so he couldn't join the team, which seems like an odd response. And also adding that he said that, don't worry about it in the starting lineup on Saturday, which apparently Mascherano never mentions who's in his start at all. So that was out of character. So some suspicious activities happening with Allende. So I know I joked saying that maybe bit his leg, and so he was out. So I was trying to get back in the starting lineup. But also some people thinking that maybe Allende, they already like taking meetings for returning from loan. I'm curious if this paves the path for Suarez to return, and sure if that's a great idea.
There's a couple of different options. Maybe it's innocuous, and maybe there was just a weird little injury thing that kept him out of the away from the training ground for a day. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. But there's no fun in that. Where's the drama in that? No, it's probably some sort of contract holdout dispute, or maybe Mascherano has taken him aside and said, look, Suarez, this is sidebar. This is going to be the swan song for a couple of really, or even a few really, really important football players on a global scale. Okay, Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez, Thomas Muller, and maybe even Sergeant Biscuits himself, Sergio Busquets. There is a possibility that 3 out of the 4, or maybe all 4, but I don't know. But 2 or 3 out of those 4 gravitational pulls of soccer players, this is their swan song. So I'm telling you right now, Suarez is going to log amazing minutes tomorrow. He's going to play. He's going to play a lot, and maybe he's going to start, and that's going to piss off your man there, and maybe maybe he has a fever. Maybe he has SAD. Maybe that's the name of his condition right now. He's sad and salty, and maybe he decided to stay in bed yesterday, and maybe he won't get up unless he's offered a new contract and or his starting spot back.
Well, interesting to see. There's definitely a marked improvement in Inter Miami's play in the postseason when Suarez has been on the bench and Allende's been in there. Allende, of course, a lone player, and in that conversation with Franco Panizo, didn't think that Allende would be back because they would probably have to use a DP slot or put money into him to retain him. But yes, definitely the end of the era for Jordi Alba, who still looks like he's got a lot in him, and then Sergio Busquets. Lots of storylines, really interesting MLS Cup final. I feel like there's more storylines and tip for this. I mean, it's Messi
Yeah,
versus
they're all-
Muller,
they're all-
USA, Canada. Both, whoever wins on Saturday will be first-time champions. And I looked up. Messi hasn't scored against Vancouver yet either, so we'll see how that all plays out. MLS Cup final Saturday afternoon. And I see our guest is waiting in the wings to join us. So as we get going and continue with the show, we're going to get a reaction about a new kit that was released this week. But we're going to talk about the teams leaving one of the leading elite amateur leagues at an alarming pace, the NPSL. So as we're going, subscribe, become a member, and support Morning Kickaround. Just tell your friend if you don't want to hit any of those buttons or spend any money. Just tell your friend about Morning Kickaround as we dot the map of the American soccer landscape. All right, moving right along. Let's get to and why does NPSL continue to lose clubs here on Morning Kickaround? Welcome in. The big question here on Morning Kickaround. News this week, the winner of the NPSL, the national champions of the NPSL, Hickory FC, announced this week that they are leaving NPSL to go to USL 2, just the latest in a string of teams announcing they're going to leave NPSL to a variety of other amateur leagues, most specifically USL 2. And to give us a little bit more detail on this story, we got Christopher Wilson from the podcast Talking USL to Ya and a very active MK Ultra. Chris, welcome to Morning Kickaround, sir.
Hello. It is good to be here. I'm excited to talk about this. I'm a huge fan of just this kind of amateur sphere, and what's been happening with NPSL is apocalyptic, to say the least.
Apocalyptic. I like it. Let's get into the hyperbole here, Chris. So started off, just for those in the audience not 100% familiar with the NPSL, can you kind of explain to the audience what NPSL and you are?
So the NPSL, or National Premier Soccer League, is a amateur soccer league founded in 2003. This past year, it had 76 teams, and it is kind of the other side of the coin to USL League 2. They run in tandem. It's a summer league that runs from about May to August. And yeah, you have your little conferences that then play into regions and then the national playoffs. And like USL League 2, they also get bids directly into the US Open Cup and have since, I think, 2011.
For a little bit of context and a little visual cue, I know I'm a visual learner. So here is what the Messi pyramid in the United States looks like. And we are talking at this fourth tier here, where on the screen you see USL 2, NPSL, and NPSL. And so for many years, like you said, NPSL was the leading or the preeminent amateur side. So how many teams would you say have recently departed? Like you said, apocalyptic, perhaps.
So I actually kind of looked through all of the numbers, and since the 2021 season, so 2021 to 2025, 159 teams called NPSL home for at least one season. Like I said, this year had 76, meaning 83 teams have left. Over 50% of the league that joined since 2021 have since left. And I don't even think that includes the teams that have already been announced to be leaving to join USL League 2, the 4 or 5. It is, since the 2021 season, that 2021 season had 90. Only 30 of those teams are left, 1/3. So, and it's not like, and in this lower league, there are a lot of teams that kind of come and go, but in the same time frame for USL 2, that 2021 season for USL 2 had 91 teams, 57 are still there, 63%.
So those are huge numbers. You're listening there, Chris. Can we dig into why this might be happening? Why such an evacuation from this league that was the standard bearer for quite some time?
There are kind of two main reasons that kind of go hand in hand that, from an outside perspective looking in and from some of the people I've talked to, it's that things have kind of gotten really political, and it's a lot more of who you know and who you are and less of what you're doing specifically on the soccer field. And so NPSL is kind of built, and it's built in this way where it's the clubs that are running the conferences, and the conferences would choose their own schedule, they choose their own playoff format, and it would be determined by the clubs based on the needs and the wants of the clubs. Well, this year, all that was kind of wiped away. And NPSL said, no matter what, everybody's playing 10 games and 4 teams are getting into the playoffs from each conference, no matter if it's a 9-team conference or a 5-team conference. And the people making these decisions, the executive board and the board of directors, they haven't been voted on since, I believe, 2021 or 2022. And they just keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And so a lot of these clubs that joined this league to have independence and to be, more self-reliant, the league itself just seems to be taking control, and a lot of them don't like that.
I mean, that seems like definitely a multitude of reasons for teams to depart. I see headlines when you look up NPSL departures. Kingston Stockade says, "We've been getting bullied," is the headline for that. And there's definitely a big part of the Midwest Premier League. A lot of those teams, they left the UPSL and a couple NPSL for kind of reasons that they saw. And just a little bit of a side note, Hickory FC, that kind of spurred this conversation. They won the championship in this league. So you'd think that would probably be one of the most notable and most important teams to retain. They have to do so. I got to say, I'm a little jealous that they've only been around for 2 or 3 years and they already win a national championship.
Yeah, Hickory is an amazing kind of story. I think they're averaging, I believe, about 4,000 a game. They got over 6,000 for their national semifinal. They have a huge social media following compared, just again, from the fact that they are 2 years old. And this is just, it's one of many clubs. It feels like most of the clubs with kind of that gravitas that Hickory has, a lot of them have already left. Think of all of the Hitchcock teams that have left. Your Annapolis, your Dentons, your Lubbocks that are all averaging over 4,000. Your Napa Valleys, your Appalachians, your Columbus United that are averaging at or above 1,000. And then you have other big impact clubs that either have a lot of impact in the amateur soccer sphere, kind of like Minneapolis City. You have teams that are also averaging huge crowds. You have Asheville, Fort Wayne, Laredo. And then you have teams that have huge on-field success that have, again, left. Pensacola FC, Hickory FC, you just mentioned. Tulsa Athletic, which was the champion, I believe, in 2024, got kicked out. And then, or it was 2023, I think, got kicked out, founded the League for Clubs, and then over a dozen teams have left NPSL to join the League for Clubs.
Ones to watch, Chris. The ones to watch this League for Clubs thing, Chris, full disclosure, you care about the same stuff as we do. Rob and I are intimately involved in local soccer. We love the space. We love this little world. But to the outsider looking in, if we look at that pyramid, I tell you what it looks like from the outside looking in. It looks like a lot of alphabet soup. It looks convoluted and fragmented, and a mishmash of letters. Chris, going back a couple of steps to somebody who's not familiar to our universe, why should we care about local amateur soccer at this level? Why should we be the ones who are supporting these local teams and propping up their attendance to this 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 spectator levels? What does this mean to the average, maybe kind of sort of somewhat casual US soccer fan?
Yeah, if you're in a city like Hickory, like Boone, that it's not that large, and it's probably not quite large enough to get a professional team. These clubs are absolutely amazing. the players aren't professional, and so you can likely just kind of run into them kind of anywhere. The ownership, a lot of times whenever it's this small, this local, and they're putting so much money and effort into it, the owners care, and you can see that. And a lot of times it is the easiest way to get in. Tickets are usually cheap. It's usually pretty relaxed, and all in all, from my experiences and from when I've gone, it is just an absolute blast finding other people that care about this sport just right around the corner.
With the growth of like outlets like Saga and some others, NPSL and the USL2 especially have gotten a little bit more publicity than ever before. Vermont green to their USL national championship got some publicity there, and that raised their considerably. But who would you say? I mean, what could they do to stem the tide? Like, how long can NPSL last if they're just like bleeding teams like this? At what point? I guess what's critical mass for a league and losing teams?
I'm not 100% sure on the number, but I know the number used to be 50. And the reason why I would specifically say 50 is because that was the level at which leagues got USOC automatic bids. That is where a league would get Open Cup bids. And the reason why UPSL doesn't is because the league themselves have to pay a fee to the Open Cup to get those bids. And it's like, I think $300 or $500 a team. And UPSL doesn't want to do that or put that onto their teams. And so they just kind of don't. And then they get that one bid from spring. But NPSL and USL2 do qualify and then have that 50 teams. And so if NPSL does slip below that 50 teams, they could lose their Open Cup bids. And I think that's one of the three main cornerstones that for the past over a decade has made NPSL so enticing, with the other one being the independence of the teams, and then also just the other teams that were in the league that were so big, like Annapolis, Asheville City, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there ever a structure? Is there ever a universe in your opinion, Chris and Rob? We talk about this an awful lot behind the scenes. Yeah. Is there ever a universe where we can get the alphabet soup guys together? We've got maybe not so much USL because they're pretty established in what they do. They've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got a hierarchy of sorts. But everybody else, the NPSL, the UPSL, NISA to a point, Midwest Premier League, all these other guys. Is there ever a chat? LMFAO, ABC 1, 2, 3, all these guys. Can we all get them together in a room and say, guys, stop the madness, figure this out, bring the sport together, make it all make sense? Because that comment on the screen right now, George Pasley, 4891, I salute you, sir. I'm pretty. See, Chris, you're nodding. We get this. You get this. Is there ever a scenario where we can just get everybody in a room together, get some salmon and some canapes and some nice smooth jazz in the background, talk this thing out, bring everyone together?
Currently, no. Kind of flat out. I think that USL2, NPSL, and UPSL all serve different niches in that same Division 4 open division level. USL2 is that more structured, it's top down. The league says this is how it's going to be, and everybody else says, yes, sir. And it's that more professional, and it's a place where you can build yourself up to then hopefully go up to League One. NPSL is from the bottom up, or at least it was supposed to be, where the clubs themselves have independence. They're able to have these conferences that then form their own schedules, and then they're just a part of NPSL to have a national champion and US Open Cup bids. And then UPSL was there because if you can get 12 to 16 other of your mates and you have $2,000 burning in your pocket, you can join UPSL.
Okay, so going into that a little bit, I thought it was interesting that Hickory FC, on the way posting it and some of their fan reactions, was they're considering this a promotion where it's a moving up. It's interesting that's the fact, because not 10 plus years ago, NPSL platform that Detroit City FC used to get into the professional ranks, as well as Chattanooga FC became professional NPSL as their kind of a germination period. But I do want to bring some of our MK Ultras into the conversation. Warren has a question for you. So is the NPSL sort of a banana republic of soccer leagues? Yes.
It kind of feels like it. Like I said, something that I'm going to point out is that with that playoff structure this past year, every conference had the top 4 teams make playoffs, no matter the size, except for one. That was the Gulf Coast Sunshine. The Gulf Coast Sunshine had 2 teams guaranteed in no matter what. That was NOLA Jesters and Jack's Armada U23, which is funny because the NOLA Jesters owner is the chairman of the executive board of NPSL, and there's a Jack's Armada representative that is the South Region representative on the board of directors.
Well.
So that was that speaks to the politics that you're talking about, right? Is like, so teams aren't feeling the value for money, and then it's not a level from one club to the next. Is that a good way to boil it down?
Yes, it definitely feels like a lot of these clubs are just saying, well, if we're gonna have this top down structure, we might as well just pay the extra amount and be in USL2. Or if they're like, we're not getting what we want out of this and it's pretty expensive, well, we'll just save on money and move to the league for clubs or a regional premier league or a local league. Or, as we've, I think about a dozen times has happened, they'll just fold their NPSL team, but keep a USL2 team or an indoor or a local team.
Interesting stuff there, and it's what I think NPSL, that number that you said earlier in the going from what you said, they're at a third of where they were at once upon a time.
So in 2021 there were 90 teams. Of those 90 teams in the 2021 season, only 30 of them are still in NPSL.
Wild stuff. But thank you so much, Chris, for giving us some detail on this kind of base of the pyramid, the Lego bricks bottom of the American soccer jumble, bleeding out teams. And you can get more from Chris. He's got us talking USL to you. Are you coming back with some off-season stuff, or do we look forward to more content from we get to that May, June, July sort of time?
So what I do with Talking USL to you is before the season, I will kind of go through each month individually and talk about each team that has been announced as an expansion. I will say where they are, what division they're going to play in, and what conference that's in. And then I will go through any previous results they have in other amateur leagues. A lot of NPSL talk in that one. And then I will just kind of go through any interesting factoids I find whenever I do a little bit of research on all these teams. And then in the middle of the season, I kind of go through, talk about the standings, see the playoff race, and that's where things really kick off. But I do have some preseason content talking about the expansions of the team of USL2.
Well, Chris, talking MLS or talking USL to you is your show. And thank you for being an MK Ultra and a regular in the comments on these live shows. Chris, thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Kickaround, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Ultras and viewers for getting comments there. And if you haven't been to Summer League stuff, like Chris said, it's super accessible, low price to get in. The game day experience varies from club to club. Oakland County FC does a lot of stuff for fans, in entertainment and various events and features like that. Some literally are just the game and you go there. So there is a wide variety of experiences, but it is true local stuff. You might get the chance to see a local player up and comer, or maybe or something like that. Incredible summer stuff. I love local summer soccer, of course.
Yeah, we all do, Rob. We all do. If you know, you know. If you need help finding a local club, jump into the comments, jump into the chat, join our Discord. What if you want to get involved and get a little taste of what we're always on about? It is a wonderful, beautiful thing. It really is. It's absolutely everything during the summer. It's a different level of the sport that if you haven't had a chance to experience, give it a shot. It's a beautiful thing.
And if you're tuned in now and you are not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button now. Join the over 5,000 plus subscribers. Or if you got a couple $1 dues, throw it on in there. Become an MK Ultra. Be like Luke. Be like Chris and the many others that are in the chat right now to help support Morning Kickaround as we dot the map of the United States soccer landscape. All right, one more segment to go. Today's hot topic up next here on Morning Kickaround. All right, today's hot topic, a brand new kit was released, and that kind of gets us excited here on Morning Kickaround, along with stadium renderings. It's kit reveals that definitely is in wheelhouse. And to talk about and get a off-the-cuff reaction segment to this new kit is friend K Ultra and kit collector Luke Zagorski. I asked you to total your number of kits in your collection, but you couldn't quite on it.
I don't do it like that. This is labor of love. If I see one I like, I get it. I'm always the Black Friday, the Cyber Monday sales, all that good stuff. Yeah, I love it. I stopped counting it at 300, which was quite a while ago, and they just keep piling up. What can I say? I love it.
And so we are going to talk about this. AC Boy released their kit this week. It is a Hummel black and green. When you see it now, I'm not before, but what's your off the cuff reaction? And just note, we are gonna in the future weeks, we're gonna dig a little deeper with AC Boise. But I want to get your reaction now, as seeing this is brand new this week.
Yeah, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks a little bit better close up than it does actually on the field and in action, because you've got a little bit of detail on the black, the black stuff. It's not just a solid black. There's a little bit of a pattern there. Yeah, it's okay. It's just not remarkable. I'm wondering if there is something specific and unique about Boise, Idaho that ties it in with the colors of green and black, because that would make me like it a little bit more. But, Hummel are known for making some really, really solid shirts. And I've never seen a Hummel shirt that I don't like. They've had some absolute bonkers classics over the years. They always do a great job on the Denmark national team, for example. But this is okay. There was a hype video that was released with it as well, Rob. We talked about that a little bit last night.
Yeah, you had a thought on it. I mean, those hype videos when they come out, when a team even doesn't even exist, so you're kind of limited in what the things you can dig into for those. I thought it was pretty interesting. The hype video for this kit release was like just over 2 minutes. They featured a variety of different sorts of people saying we are Boise. There's a guy fishing, and I think that's why there's rocks in here. There's a guy fishing. There's kid, a youth club sort of a element, and then there's some elderly, and then there's the bar crowd. So I thought it was a little bit more creative way to show that, trying to appeal to all the different community members in the area. But you didn't think so?
Okay. Negatives and positives. Okay. On the negative side, I didn't learn a lot about Boise, Idaho from the video. Apparently, the video, it just sort of contained people doing things. So if Boise, Idaho is the home of people doing stuff, then I salute and applaud Boise, Idaho. And like I said, the jersey just doesn't look remarkable in regards to it actually being in action. If you're just looking at it from a distance, it's not easy to pick out some of the nice details that we can see in this photo. However, on the positive side, super excited about this club. They're doing it the right way. They've got some really strong, solid ethos and credibility. They've got a good mission statement. Really excited about the direction that they're going in general. And although I don't love the video and I'm not necessarily super duper all about the kit, really believe in this club. Wish them absolutely positively all the best. We need more clubs like AC Boise, and wish them absolutely all the best. And let's be honest, maybe they know what they're doing better than Luke in Michigan does. Who knows?
Yeah, like I said, we're going to learn a lot more about AC Boise in the coming weeks. And I do want to know there's a couple of details that I found fun. You can see on screen here, it's got the outline of the state of Iowa in the bottom corner. And then on the back, there's like kind of the alternate version of their badge. But we are going to dig deep into the design and what went into this in coming weeks. But we do want to get MK Ultras and the viewers' take on this. This is a reaction segment. So Chris is going to start us off. He thinks it looks clean. And he said he likes the pattern quite a bit. I play French horn. AC Boise sounds like AC/DC, which is kind of funny. But their initials of ACB or ACB kind of run off in a fun way. John Stark, our latest MK Ultra edition. He likes the shiny black fabric, and Luke compared to the Portland Hearts of Pine kit. Explain that a little bit more, Chris. I'm not sure what you mean, but I think it's I think it's a pretty good look, and I don't think that there's anything in USL League One that looks exactly like this. I don't think that I would say it would be recognizable. I would notice this. I would know what this was. I saw someone walking down the street, and I think it's a wearable casually as well. Opinion when I'm just looking at it, it doesn't look like. I think it could be worn in a kind of a culture lifestyle sort of a way, not just necessarily play.
Yeah, that's really important these days, Rob. As you know, it's very important to produce a shirt that looks good in Walmart on a Wednesday, or looks good paired with jeans and some sneakers at a bar on a Friday night. There's this huge sort of fashion element now to shirts, which is why guys like Drake and Travis Scott are doing collaborations with other clubs around the world to produce their own jerseys. It's a fashion label. It's a fashion iconography exercise these days. It's not just producing, a shirt that is red. It's way, way, way beyond that now. This is deep level stuff now. This is Inception level stuff. It really is.
Chris clarified he wants you to compare this and the Portland Hearts of Pine.
Okay, well, first of all, if I saw this jersey in the street, I would, from a distance, I would just assume that it was a Portland Timbers shirt. If I'm just casually sort of glancing at it.
So am I off base saying that this is recognizable in singularity? Am I off base with that?
No, to a point. But I won't go into why, but I'm a huge appreciator of pretty much everything that Hearts of Pine do, and always have done. Love to get a consensus opinion of the group, but let's be honest, Chris. I think you seem like a guy who knows what they're talking about. The Hearts of Pine win this one. It's 3-0. It's 3-0.
So exciting stuff. A brand new kit from AC Boise, one of the brand new teams entering the field in USL League One in 2026. And it's great to see them doing such big things. When we had a club representative on a month or two ago when they were announcing, I mean, this club's been in the works for 12 years. They've got their own stadium being built right now, and there's quite a few updates to come, and you will see quite a bit more of AC Boise in the next week or two. As we wrap up, anyone get any last second World Cup takes in the chat? Feel free to do so. Any MLS Cup final takes before we wrap up the show. French horn, the only turnoff of that kit is being nearly all black. The players get when it's 90 degrees and humid. I have yet to understand the obsession with black kits. And it's also interesting that is the home kit as well. So black and green, the primary for them. And actually, you bring up the black concept. I actually kind of have a little bit of a negative point on green kits. Like, what's the traditional, or what is the cliche for why Manchester United were red, right? It's the easiest color to see out the corner of your eye. I mean, green, grass, blended, maybe not is to see on the pitch.
To be honest with you, Rob, I've been looking at football now for over 30 years. I've got all the shirts and all this stuff. Never once have I thought about what the significance of a green kit is. I really don't think it makes that much difference. I do know that some greens, from a TV camera perspective, they were always sort of frowned on back in the 80s and the 90s, which is why you only ever saw green goalkeeper shirts. You don't really see an awful lot of clubs wearing primary greens because they didn't show up very well on, the old analog, TV film cameras. So it sort of shied away from that. But I mean, there are some clubs that wear green. Werder Bremen in Germany spring to mind. There's a couple of Forest Green Rovers. I mean, there's a couple of clubs that wear green as primaries now, and I don't necessarily think it's like a huge clash with the fact that grass is also green. I don't know. Never thought about it.
All right.
Yeah, hot morning kick around take. Grass is green. Thank you very much. My work here is done.
John Stark on screen, Austin FC. Green is beautiful. He is a fan of the Verde. And I put there on another MK Ultra. Matthew saying that green, unlucky for soccer. And then French Horn also throwing in the fact that Hibbs is on the green train. And locally, we're talking about local soccer risers. One of my favorite local soccer kids. And they were, of course, wore the green. So we are about done for the live show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and commenting. Great conversation in the chat. Apologies for any lagging. Hopefully that improved as the show wore on. And when we come back on Monday, that's going to be a whole new world. There will be a brand new first-time MLS champion, and we will know the groups for the World Cup. We will know the first three opponents. Hopefully, the first three opponents, the only opponents for the United States men's national team in World Cup 2026. So big weekend ahead, and really excited to get to it. And a tip of the hat to the intrepid on-scene reporter today. Co-host Jason Davis is going to be there in the Kennedy Center. He's going to get to see the likes of the Village People, Robbie Williams, and the opera singer, Bocelli. No sarcasm or jest.
Is Trump in?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna learn.
There you go.
Who is gonna receive a Peace Prize today?
Oh my goodness! What? Final thoughts from me. Number one, Rob and Jenny, you guys work so hard on this show. Really, really, really appreciate you allowing me to be a tiny part of it. Really appreciate the show as a consumer rather than as a friend of you guys. Number two, please, these guys work so hard on this show, and the content it was always good, but it's getting better and better and better every week, every month. The community is growing. The comments today were absolutely the absolute best that I've ever seen on this show. You guys get it. You guys get what Rob and Jenny and Jason are trying to do. Love this show. Love the community that they're building. Please consider liking, subscribing, and even becoming a member. You could go and get a burrito. If you need a burrito, go buy a burrito. If you're not hungry right now, become a member on YouTube. Finally, Jenny, who are we betting on for the World Cup? Who is your money on? If you had $50 right now, who are you putting your money on for the World Cup? I'm really curious because Jenny is a part of this whole dirty sports wagering gambling world that I am.
I have never bet anything more than like $5 on anything. So if you gave me the $50, it's not my $50. I would probably put my money on Rob. Don't hate me. England.
Oh, you're going with England. England is.
I've heard of them. Apparently, they're good. I'm going to put my money on Germany. Anybody who has any experience whatsoever with sports wagering, look at their line, then look at who Germany are and what they've done in history. Maybe not so much like immediately recent history, but just understand what and who Germany are as a country and as a team. Then look at their betting line. And if you have $50, whether it's mine or Jenny's or your own, put it on die Mannschaft. Put it on Germany. You're welcome.
Interesting, because I thought that Germany was kind of in a lower moment. They obviously have different things possible, but I almost think that maybe this year it's more open than it has been in previous. But definitely the power players, the previous winners, of course, going to be favorites once again. There was a time a few months ago I was thinking Portugal was my pick, but recently not quite as sure on that. Spain, reigning European champions, obviously shoe in, and you can never count out the likes champions Argentina or those Brazilians. But going back to the kind words from Luke, he's a certified genius. So what he said about being a member and a subscriber, very smart man. And another bit of kind words, our latest ado, the MK Ultras. Love the show. Only one pays attention to the lower leagues. I've much appreciated. I thank you so much for that. Very kind words. Thank you for viewership. And until Monday, when it's a whole new world, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.